Hello everyone, and welcome back to Life's Unfair, my Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous playthrough series. Today, we are finally going to be picking up in Act 3. So when we last left off, we just completed Act 2, taken down Staunton Vane and sent Meadow fleeing, taken back the city of Drezen from the demon horde, and yeah. So a lot of stuff happened directly after that, but what I'm going to be focused on in this episode is basically the companion quests. And one of the things you're going to notice is that I am missing one of my most important, one of the integral companions that I've been running with since my very early days in Canabris, and that is Camellia. And it broke me up when this happened. I really was hoping that this was not going to be the case. So Nevia comes to us and she says, well, there have been some murders. Are you going to investigate? And then you investigate the murders, and in the end, she knows something's going on, and she knows more than she's letting on, and she sends you to investigate this house, and well, you find Camellia standing over a body. I know I joked about it when in episode 1, if you go back to episode 1, when we first met Camellia, we saw her standing over the guy's body down there, and I was like, wow, she's a murderer, right? But yeah, I didn't think it was actually her. Like, I thought the heads were her, but then the heads turned out to be Darren, and then I was like, well, maybe she's not all bad, and well, she is bad. And I didn't have the heart to kill her myself. I actually, after that conversation, we had a bit of a session, and then I had Nevia go in and do the deed for me, because I didn't have the heart to kill her myself. And yeah, this is what happens.
Sure.
Bye, dear friend. I will miss you. She really was. She's the one that carried me through Drezen in the end. She really did. I wouldn't have been able to take down Staunton without her help. Well, after that, we're on to Arueshalae's quest here in Greengates. So if you don't pick Arueshalae up in the Lost Chapel, I believe you pick her up here. But since I have her with me, it turns into a little bit of a different quest where she asks you to take on this old hag. So you can see this place is basically infested with demons, and so I'm just running around with Arueshalae, disarming traps, looking for a path to take, or maybe I don't want to fight that head on, so I'm looking for somewhere that I can maybe stand to cheese everything. But basically, right, three different sets of demons here. You can see the demons near the entrance, then there's another set of demons further in, and then there's demons if you go up the stairs. So what I opt to do here is I'm like, well, let's pass this mobility check, see what happens, and then I get hit by a trap immediately. So I try it again, and I'm like, well, can I disarm the trap before I get hit? But no, there's no way. You if you do that mobility check, you're gonna get hit by that trap, unfortunately. So we just continue to explore here. You can see a grave over there, and then so what I opt to do is, well, there's a huge barrier between me and the demons on that side of the retriever, and so I'm like, well, maybe we can cheese it by, well, if they're all melee demons, maybe we can cheese it by pulling them and then, shooting them from here. I discover I can't shoot them over the wall, so I opt to run over here, and I'm like, well, maybe we can shoot them from this little, this blockade here. And that actually turns out to be what I do. It takes a while. Ultra cheesy. And I think I underestimated my strength here. So before we do that, we head into the church, have a little bit of a conversation, ring the bell, as was part of the quest. Right, do a little camp, get our skills back, and then we talk to Arueshalae, comfort her a bit. She's so insecure about her demonic nature. I feel bad for her. She is really one of my favorite characters, though. So after that, look what I'm doing, right? So I pull them over the wall. I summon skeletons into the tiny hallway directly in front of the blockade to hopefully pull them towards the blockade, but it doesn't work all that well. And this is actually hilarious. I don't know if you can appreciate what I'm doing here, but you can see, right, when they're running back, you can see their kind of diffuse shadows along the wall. I'm trying to predict when the retriever is going to be at that kind of intersection, and I throw a fireball and make sure I can hit the retriever. Unfortunately, it doesn't work too well. I do kill a bunch of them that way, but the retriever is not one of the ones that goes down, unfortunately, in that. But then this is why I feel like I could have maybe taken these guys head on, because I killed the retriever head on. It's not strong. It's not a hunter retriever. It's just a retriever. So it's nowhere near as strong as the hunter retriever was. I thought it was a hunter retriever. I thought they were all the same, but no, this thing's way weaker. But we took so you can see only the retriever really came, because I killed most of the other demons by using the fireball cheesy strat. Worked very well. So after taking those guys down right there with the demons at the top of the stairs here, again, the only reason I opt to fight these guys head on is because of how easy the retriever was. That thing gave me a lot of confidence, being able to kill it that easily. I'm like, well, or maybe I'm a lot stronger than I think. And yeah, I actually am way stronger than I thought. So so the thing about the footage in this video specifically is it all happened at different times. For example, the Camellia thing you saw at the beginning there happened right at the beginning of Act 3. This was towards the middle, I want to say. More towards the end. And then some of the other footage you're going to see, like Seelah's quest, is actually towards the beginning as well. So my power is very variable in all these episodes. Some of them I'm pretty strong. Some of them I'm not quite as strong and sure of myself. This fight actually took a while. So these demons over here took a few attempts. You're only seeing my successful attempt here. I failed on it, I want to say maybe 3 or 4 times, because some of them hit really hard. But honestly, this place was not as bad as I was expecting it to be. And you can see all the demons are gone here. And now this is the main objective, Jaruunicka, who is a hag that Arueshalae, and this is a failed attempt, but I just want you to see, I want you to look at this. Look at how hilarious this is. So on Razor Fiend, I have a ring that allows him to knock down enemies, and there's no saving throw on it. So if he lands a first hit, they get knocked down. It doesn't matter what size they are, how strong they are. And I have bracers on Wenduag, which cause them, anyone who's knocked down, to have to pass a DC 20 or 23 saving throw to get back up. And you could see there, I knocked her down, and Wenduag's bracers just kept her down for the remainder of the fight, and she died. Unfortunately, Amber died on that attempt, so I had to reload. Recently, I've actually just been reviving characters with diamonds, but I'm still not quite at that point in this part of the video. It's still early days in Act 3, or middling days in Act 3. But we do take down Jaruunicka without too much difficulty there. Afterwards, yeah, I think it took me like 3 or 4 attempts. So after taking her down, satisfying Arueshalae, we are on to Regill's quest here. So he wants us to investigate a Hellknight fortress. And this is probably towards the end of where I am in Act 3. Regill's and Sosiel's were the 2 last ones that I did towards before attempting the Ivory Sanctum, directly before attempting the Ivory Sanctum. So we come here to the Hellknight fortress. There are some Omoks here. Not too tough at all, right? So they were tough for me back in Act 2, back when we were taking back Drezen, but you can see they're not tough. They're pretty much trivial. I think this pack took 2 attempts. The initial Omoks was basically insta-kill. Yeah, so we take these guys down. The only issue, again, of course, is they run towards a backline after a certain amount of time, focused on the tank, which is never pleasant. And then this guy comes out, Suspicious Traveler, and then Regill tells us that he's basically a cultist, and he's like, no, I'm not a cultist. And you can see, right, so you can pass a perception check, and if you do that, then, well, he immediately transforms into a demon. And yeah, Regill. So the reason I'm doing that here is because Regill really likes it when you immediately, you don't fall for the traps, when you immediately catch them, right? And so this demon isn't tough at all, right? Got it on my first attempt, really not. Didn't put up much of a fight there, and then we just tell Regill, we're going along with him this time since it's his companion quest. So after taking that thing down, Regill, we run into this over here. Somebody's having a picnic up here. So the Hellknight outpost is completely empty. None of the Hellknights are here. No corpses, nothing. And then Kiranda is up here, who looks like a human, but then, right, she knows Arueshalae, and any of Arueshalae's former friends are probably bad news, because they're probably demons, and yeah, she's a demon. You can see, and she can just change forms, right? She changes into Queen Galfrey, and that's her true form. She's a succubus. And initially, I'm kind of taken with her. I'm like, oh, cool. She doesn't seem bad. She's turning against the demons. Let's go along with what she wants. And well, this is what happens if you agree. If you agree to go with her to a private location to continue your discussion, it's a trap, unsurprisingly. Or surprisingly to me. I don't know, I'm an idiot. I believe that everyone can be redeemed, but that is clearly not the case here. Right, I should have learned my lesson with Camellia. Yeah, so can't be redeemed. Then we make the alternate choice where we ask her for information, and she says, well, the Hellknights are further in, and then she just teleports away. I'm guessing if you try to attack her, she'll also do that. She'll just teleport away on less than friendly terms. And so then you come in here, you see these Hellknights standing around, and you pass a perception check again, and boom. A bunch of them turn into demons, and yeah. Then you fight. So I actually feel really bad about how I completed this quest here, because you're gonna see what I did. So these demons, there are a lot of them, and they're not easy at all. They're really not. They're not super easy, but we do actually get it on our first attempt here. And this, as I said, this is towards the end of Act 3, or before the Ivory Sanctum. I don't know how close to the end of Act 3 I am. Nenio died here, right? So she died, but I didn't reload the game. What I did instead was I revived her. And it's something that I'm going to be doing more often going forward here. I actually do it a bunch of times. I've done it, I want to say maybe 4 times so far. Did it twice in Blackwater, I did it once here, and I've done it once somewhere else if I recall. Darren can revive people, costs a diamond, but really nothing besides a diamond, which is like 3,000 or 6,000? 3 or 6,000 gold, which is a small price to pay, right? So this is the Angler of Vices, and we basically don't let him go. He says, let me go, or this guy's gonna die, and I say, well, if we let you go, you're just gonna go be evil elsewhere, and so we just let the guy die. And then this is what I'm actually sad about. I really feel bad about doing this here, because the Hellknights that were taken by the demons, you have the option to spare them or to kill them, and I killed all of them. But I realized that I banished the demons, so maybe killing them wasn't the best idea. And then after that, we walk out of the door, and it was all a test. Regill was just testing us. I want to punch him in the face, kinda. So all the Hellknight chapters show up immediately after that, and they're all, standing toward her. So this was all a test, and that makes me feel even worse, because now those guys that I killed were just part of some elaborate ruse, some test. So I really feel bad about killing them. And then don't miss this when you come here. Definitely pick this up. It requires a perception check. I don't remember how high the perception skill has to be, but I use it on Nenio to get all her lore skills a little further up. It adds 1 to every skill. Alright, so after Regill's quest, we are on to Lann's quest. This happened towards the middle of Act 3. So when you basically come back to Neathholm and meet the chief. This is an easy quest, right? You run into Chief Sol, and he's telling us to go find Wenduag. We find her here, and she's just as crappy as she was when we were fighting her in the maze, right? She did a lot of damage, but Right, she's done a lot of damage, but she can't take a hit at all, just like she was in the maze. And we take her down without too much trouble, and we basically recruit her, right? I don't know how long she's going to stick around. There are a lot of things that I've seen since recruiting her which make me believe that she's going to abandon us, and she is my replacement for Camellia. So I'm going to be at a huge loss when she abandons us and betrays us. Because Camellia was carrying my party in damage. Wenduag is also carrying my part. She does so much damage. She does more damage than Arueshalae. She is insanely powerful. So after that, right, Lann and his mom have a bit of a reconciliation session there, which is kind of heartwarming and nice. For that one, having my pet stand at Lann and I was standing at his mom, because they make you run back and forth between them several times. So I was just, because I could just, go to my pet and talk to Lann, and then I didn't have to do the running. So this is Seelah's quest, which happened kind of towards the beginning of Act 3. So she wants to buy a ring for Elan, who's getting married to his bride-to-be, and I'm an idiot here. I opt to interfere, and I'm like, well, here, I'm going to throw in some money, get you a more expensive ring at 1,000 gold coins. It's a good choice. Turns out to be a terrible idea. So we talk to Elan after that, give him the ring. He's really happy. Right, very excited about getting married. He's like, yeah, we have a party planned at the wedding meadow right outside Drezen, right close to the city, so we're going to be safe from the demons because we're under the banner, and they can't teleport in, so we're all good. So we show up to the wedding meadow, and it's a merry kind of party going on here. Talking to Elan, it's like, where's the bride? And so the bride and groom's parties are both kind of separate on the north and south side of this meadow, and they're all dressed up, and there are various festivities going on, and you can get some items here. There's a cool item here. There's a ring. When you get what the bridesmaid wants, you can, that shiny ring there. So you can ask for a kiss, or you can ask for a prize. If you ask for the prize, you get that ring, and that ring's pretty cool. It doesn't give you any stats or anything, but if you use it, it's an infinite use ring. It makes you shiny. Look at Razorfiend right now. He's shiny gold, and you can use it on all your characters. So you can make all of them like shine gold. And it's a pretty cool effect. I don't use it as often as I should because I just get lazy. Well, and then after that, we get to the main ceremony here. Seelah gives a speech. We give her some advice on how to speak. We tell her to speak from the heart. And you can see people are throwing trinkets into this cup here, and then the music changed, which means something bad's about to happen. Something mysterious is going on. This is the mystery music. So we pass an Arcana check here, and we notice that the auras of the items in the goblet are way too strong. And so we notify Seelah, so I guess you can watch in silence or notify Seelah. And then she's like, well, there's something wrong. All the jewelry was made by Master Sunhammer, right, which is a guy that we paid extra money for better jewelry from. And then Seelah's old friend, Curl, I think that's Curl, right? So he shows up here and he's like, you ruined everything, mortal. And then he falls over, and you can see he was possessed by a demon here. And all the wedding party guests are possessed by demons, and I get absolutely annihilated. This was a tough fight because Ember, your entire party is like spread out, and they die very, very fast, right? Because these demons hurt like hell. This was the beginning of Act 3, basically very close to the beginning of Act 3, so I wasn't that strong or prepped. And Ember kept dying. She was standing right next to the shear thing over there, and she just kept getting destroyed. So it took a while for me to figure out what to do here. And so what I do figure out so ideally what I have to do is get everybody onto Razorfiend, right? There's really no time to summon. So if you summon mobs, they're not going to get to you in time because you get kind of teleported here when you ask to progress the story. You talk to, I forgot what, the priest who's in Drezen. So you can see my mob of skeletons is all where I summon them. They're not really close enough. and I had to start in turn-based mode because otherwise Ember would have just died. So what I did was I managed to get her away, thankfully, and then we teleported with Nenio towards my horde of skeletons, and then my skeletons kind of took the brunt of the first set of attacks, and then Razor Fiend kind of formed a barrier between the skeletons and the rest of my party, and then we just nuked them. We just dropped a bunch of nukes with Ember, right? Look at our fireballs, look at that. Look at that. So we take it out. This took a while. This actually took, I want to say like 6 or 7 attempts, more than that. The actual fight here, which is a bit frustrating. I really wonder if they would have been weaker if I had opted for the weak ring, if I just let Seelah buy the cheaper ring, because it seems that the more expensive the ring, the stronger the demons, so they may have been weaker. I don't know, I never went back and tested it. But yeah, so all the guests are kind of, even after taking out their demons, they're all like still comatose, and then right, we talk. So yeah, Arsino, the priest. So she's the one that progresses the story a bit, and then yeah, she tells you about the status of everyone. They're all still comatose. Alright, so that's Seelah taken care of. After that, we are on to Greybor's quest here, where we gotta take a dragon. So this quest is interesting because you basically run into it 3 times, and it will absolutely destroy your party. I don't have footage of how I handled them. So you run into the 2 random encounters, and what I did for the 2 random encounters was I just ran away. So they're timed. But here, when you go to the meadow, you actually have to fight her. And so what I opted to do was, if you go in non-stealth, the encounter just starts immediately, and you get destroyed. So what I opted to do was stealth up before the encounter and then start it, and then we have prep time, so I was able to summon, a massive horde of skeletons and take her down easily. After you take her down, she runs away, then you find this blood trail here, and yeah, it's basically following the dragon, right? So following, and then we run over here, and you have to pass a bunch of checks, mobility, knowledge checks, stuff like that. If you fail the checks here, even if you fail like a few of them, you end up standing here. The fight starts here. You're just in front of the dragon and it destroys you. Really not good. But there's a better way to do it. If you pass the checks, right? So make sure you pass the checks, right? Perception easy, athletics not as easy, right? Really take some luck to get those, because my athletics is really not that great, unfortunately. And then we finally pass all the checks, and if you pass them all, you end up here, and so you have some prep time, right? So you can see the storyteller here, and it took a lot of attempts to get this down, but what I opt to do in the end is I have Greybor go in for I wonder if that actually does any damage on not unfair. So if it was on like normal or something, I wonder if his attack would do damage. I wonder if it's just because I'm playing on unfair that he literally does 0 damage to it. So yeah, make sure you come in here with your fire resist, obviously. Cast fire resist on all the skeletons and everything like that, and then it's just a question of taking down the dragon the same way we did in the meadow here. Greybor's kind of a useless piece of crap. I don't really use him all that much. A lot of my characters are kind of relegated. I did equip him up for this, but he's still not really able to contribute that much, because I did try a few times having him like melee, but she kills him way too quick, so I just decided to have him stand in the corner and have everyone else just shoot at the dragon as usual. With my summons helping, and it's a multi-phase fight, as you can see here, right? So we do, right, she's like, "Get off me, you vile parasites," and then she flies away, but not too far this time, right? The storyteller tells us she's, don't let her basically burn us all to ashes, and then you see I'm running around looting stuff when I should just be running straight to her. But this part's, I don't know if this is bugged out, or I don't know what's going on here, but she doesn't seem to be doing any damage to us. She does have a fire aura, so I wonder if that would have done damage if we didn't have fire resist, but this part's trivial. I guess it's just a timed DPS check, which we're easily able to pass. Then after that, we have two choices for Greybor. We decide we're going to pay him more than he asks for, just in case it plays a role in him determining his loyalties, because he seems like the kind of guy who can be bought for money. And when you're dealing with someone like that, you definitely don't want to give them any ideas or any opportunities to switch employer. We're going to let him know that we're a generous employer, even though I'm probably never going to use him. I just don't want to lose companions. I feel bad after Camellia. I feel terrible after Camellia. And now we're on to Sosiel's quest here, which is basically looking for his brother. And so we determined his brother, right, had joined the Hellknight order, and then one of the people who was under his brother's command comes telling us all these stories of how terrible his brother was, and he tells us to come to this place for proof, right? And we come here and we run into this ferocious, this gluttonous maw, which is a gigantic worm, very appropriate considering. I don't know if any of you guys watched Dune recently, but yeah, it's a sandworm. Yeah. It's a hard fight. It's a really hard fight. Probably, of all the companion quests, I think this enemy is probably the hardest. Look how much damage it does to the skeletons. Like, the dragon was tough, but if fire resist basically negates its damage. This thing, it just destroys everything around it. Like, it does a massive thrash AoE that just annihilates all the skeletons, and there's nothing you can do. Thankfully, I'm at the end near the end of Act 3, right? And so I have a ton of summons. So what I've done is empowered the spells, raised their level, so I have like 50 summons on Darren. And so I can just keep summoning. And so we take him down and, yeah, have a bit of a chat with Sosiel. There's a greater shadow up here. Look at that. Drains 14 strength to hit. So what I ought to do is, I'm not one to turn down a challenge. I teleport Nenio up there. Right, it's a melee enemy, and it only appears when you loot this thing here. So what I do, teleport Nenio up, loot the item. Come on, Nenio, loot it up. Loot. Then you see it spawns, and I pause immediately. And what I do is, boom, teleport Nenio down. Right? She takes a hit. She takes a hit. But she doesn't die, thankfully. Right, that Draven's hat is so useful, but it's inconsistent. I don't know how to make it, like, work consistently. We teleport her down, and yeah, she's fine. And then after that, it's just a question of... You can see Darren is just... oh, those are the Stormlord's bracers that I picked up in Blackwater. So, yeah, this is even after Blackwater. This is literally right before I go into the Ivory Sanctum. I actually just started the Ivory Sanctum yesterday, but there are going to be a bunch of episodes before we get there. And yeah, these Stormlord bracers are like the Salamander Ring. They allow whoever wears it to cast electricity spells, and on Darren it works perfectly, because instead of taking up spell slots, he can just use them. And it also converts all his damage into electricity if you opt. If you right-click on the bracers, it can convert all his damage into electricity. That isn't so useful since I don't really have him actually shoot anything or do anything like that. He's just a heal and summon dude, and now also a nuking dude. Next mythic level is going to be getting him to be able to pierce lightning resist. Alright, and then after that, right, Sosiel's, right, we decide to head back to the jail here, talk to Graham, who's the guy who basically told us to go here, and he's still dissing Sosiel's brother, telling us that Trevor, who is Sosiel's brother, he's weaving this tale of Trevor and his girl, and we found the shield on that girl, and, you know, they're tryst, and he's basically spitting all over his image, and then we find these two guys, these other two deserters who are also part of Sosiel's, or with Trevor, and they tell us a completely different story. They tell us Trevor was an amazing person, and the guy in jail was a complete ass clown. And so now we're like, okay, Sosiel, we're gonna find your brother. He isn't dead, apparently. He was just carried off by the demons, so I'm guessing we get a chance to actually find him. And so yeah, we head back for some closure, and that's basically it. Thanks for joining me, guys. When we pick up tomorrow, we're going to be continuing in Act 3.